Special thanks to Patreon supporter Derek Frost Westbrook for making this video possible. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Scared204 here bringing you another Minecraft World War II bathtub build tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be going ahead and building this Stremitelny, part of the Gnevny-Class of destroyers. The Gnevny-Class were a group of 29 destroyers built for the Soviet Navy in the late 1930s. They are sometimes known as the WW2 and the official Soviet designation was Project 7. These ships fought in World War II. In the early 1930s, the Soviets felt able to restart construction of fleet destroyers, and 48 ships were ordered under the second 5-year plan. The design was produced with Italian assistance despite ideological differences between the Soviets and the fascist Italy. They reassembled contemporary destroyers built in Italy for the Greek and Turkish navies. They suffered from some of the same weaknesses of contemporary Italian ships, with structural weakness and limited seaworthiness. There were also significant machinery problems in the earliest ships. The design flaws were apparent after the trials of the first units in 1936 through 1937, and production stopped after 29 ships. A modified design was then placed into production, known as the Type 7U. 4 surviving ships from the Pacific Fleet were transferred into the People's Liberation Army Navy and served as the Arsene-class destroyers. The version we have in front of us here, or this ship in particular, is the Stremitelny, which was basically part of the Soviet Navy, obviously. It was transferred to the Soviet fleet in 1941, in which it was sunk July 20th, 1941, by German bombers in the Cayde Bay, Murmansk. Partially raised in 1942 and cannibalized for spare parts to repair So yeah, it was I guess a ship of the, obviously a ship of the class of the Gnevny-Class of destroyers, but I would say they're probably one of the main destroyers that the Soviet Navy's really fielded, or I guess you can say put out to sea during the World War II time period. It's a pretty interesting little ship and should make a fun addition to any of your bathtub build worlds, going along with our ever-growing lineup of Soviet ships. Before we go and jump in and take a look at this build, though, I do want to go ahead and give special thanks to Patreon support Derek Frost Westbrook for making this tutorial possible. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel more you already do, feel free to check out my Patreon page. Link is always in my video description, where you can go and put a small amount to the channel every month, and in doing so, earn a vehicle request you're choosing per month if you're a patron. It really helps support the work I do on my channel. It's really greatly appreciated, so definitely feel free to check that out. Again, link for that is always in my video descriptions. With that, though, let's go ahead and dive in here and take a look at the ship. So to start off with, we have the ship. It's done up in a darker color scheme. The ship we're building in particular did have a darker color scheme. I don't know if this was common for all of the Gnevny-Class of destroyers, but this one here in particular, we do have a bit of a dark color scheme, so it kind of stands out compared to our normal light gray ships. So start off with the front here, which just has the 2 front main guns. It's a pretty small destroyer, again, kind of, very simple, basic in design. You have your bridge, you have your funnel here, just, little anti-aircraft gun position, spotlights, all that stuff. It does have a torpedo, or 2 torpedo launchers, as well as another section of single mounted guns, and then you have in our anti-aircraft gun position, kind of the main heavy battery one, and then you have the 2 rear-facing cannons. So overall, a really nice destroyer, and really simple in terms of design. Going to make a really good addition to your bathtub build fleets if you're continuing to build up that Soviet Navy presence, which we've actually really expanded upon quite a lot, more than I really ever thought we would, building up the Soviet World War II Navy. Anyways, though, that's it for this overview. Let's go ahead and move into the tutorial by beginning with our first layer number 1. Alright guys, so moving into our first layer here, moving into layer 1. For layer 1 to go ahead and get started with, we want to go ahead and first start off with our red concrete. Now, one thing I do want to go ahead and mention real quick is that if you do plan on building this in the water, which I imagine most of you guys are going to want to do, you do want to build this a certain height. This red concrete block here, that's going to start our build off, is going to sit basically at water level. So you can see that we have the blue concrete here and the red concrete, and you can see it just basically sits right there. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple stuff. That is where you want to position the block, the blue concrete obviously being the water level. So with that squared away, we're going to place our red concrete block, we're going to place down a brick wall and a red stainless pane going forward. We're going to go ahead and go back from this red concrete block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 red concrete blocks back. 2 brick top slabs in case wood trapdoor, and then 2 brick walls that go back like that. We go ahead and make our rudder. After that's done, we're going to place down 2 red stained glass panes on these last 2 red concrete blocks before the brick slabs. We're going to then place down 2 lightning rods going back. And depending on what version you're on, kind of dictates what you can do next. For Java players, or really if you're building this in the water, you'll not be able to place down skeleton skulls on the tips of these end rods. An alternative to this really isn't anything good. You can put a birchwood slab maybe instead as an alternative, or you can just have the end rods and have them stop there. That's also a possibility and something you can do. But just unfortunately to Minecraft and the way it's structured, this is all we're really able to do here. We're going to go ahead and take our brick walls, and we're going to go ahead and go forward from our glass panes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 walls, and 2 red stained glass panes. We're going to go ahead and then go over here and do the same thing for brick walls. Take this going forward, and then 2 red stained glass panes. And that right there is going to basically finish off everything we have for layer 1. Taking a look at it from up above here, this is what it looks like from the top-down view. With that all complete, that's going to wrap up layer 1, and we'll be moving on to layer number 2. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 2. For layer 2 to start with, we're going to place down a polished blackstone wall on top of this glass pane here, and then we're going to go ahead and go back 1 and 2 of these gray concrete blocks. We're going to go ahead and place down a acacia wood plank. This actually we could substitute. I would actually probably prefer that we use the stripped spruce wood. So let me go ahead and, or stripped acacia wood. So let me go ahead and find that real quick. So these logs right here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the stripped acacia wood. I'm going to place down a long row. Now it's going to go all the way down the center line here of the ship, and it's going to end 1 block before the end. So this first wall right here, that's going to be the last block we placed, and then just a gray concrete block on the back. We then want to go ahead and take our gray stained glass panes. We're going to place down 1, 2, 3 along the back here on both sides, and then we're going to go ahead and take our polished blackstone walls, and we're going to go ahead and go forward with our polished blackstone walls all the way along the side here of the build, stop at on top of this glass pane here, and then 2 more gray stained glass panes forward to bring us to the front. And we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing over here on this side as well, all the way along the side there like that. And after that's all done right there, that is going to wrap up everything we have there for layer number 2. Again, really simple, straightforward layer. And with that, we'll go ahead and start to move on to a little bit more complicated stuff, really just kind of revolving around doing our deck details a lot. With that, let's move on to layer number 3. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 3. For layer 3 to start with, we're going to place down a polished blackstone stair on the front wall right here. And we'll also just go ahead and place down an end rod on top of it so we don't have to worry about it later. We then want to go ahead and place down a dark oak wood sign on both sides here of this polished blackstone stair. Going back from this, we're going to place down a acacia wood slab, and then after the on the sides of the acacia wood slab, we can go ahead and grab ourselves some wither skeleton skulls and place down a skull on both sides like that. We're going to go ahead and place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wither skeleton skulls along the glass panes and walls along the sides. Then we're going to place down a grindstone that's going to go here in the middle, and then an end rod that's going to go forward from it like so. We'll also place down an item frame underneath the end rod if you're on Java, and an orange stained glass pane in it to kind of help keep the deck color a little bit more consistent. Just note, placing the item frame and end rod in the same block space is only going to be a Java feature. If you're on a version other than Java, you will not be able to place down those 2 blocks, and if that's the case, just go ahead and place down the end rod, as that will take priority. Going after the grindstone, we're going to place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 gray concrete blocks down the center like that. After that, we're going to place down a dark oak wood fence gate to both sides here, and we're going to open this fence gate toward the middle like so. We then want to place down a polished blackstone stair on both sides going back from the fence gates, as well as a polished blackstone slab directly behind those. We're also going to go and then take our birchwood signs, and we're going to place down birchwood signs on the side here of the stair and the slab. Once that's complete, we're going to go ahead and then grab our quartz slabs, and we're going to place down 2 quartz slabs going back along the sides. In the middle space there, we're going to place down a polished blackstone stair with the back facing toward the rear of the ship. We'll then follow this up with a gray bed right here. Then a gray concrete block, a wither skeleton skull on both sides of the block. Then another gray concrete block, and another polished blackstone upside stair to the sides. Once we have that all done, we're going to place down another gray bed here in the center, a gray concrete block here, and a polished blackstone upside stair again to both sides. We're going to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete block going back from that center block, as well as a grindstone like so, and then an end rod that is going to come off the grindstone going back. We then want to go ahead and grab ourselves a lever. We're going to place down a lever here, and again for my Java players, we're going to place down an item frame and an orange stained glass paint in the item frame if you're on Java. And then on the very back, we're going to place down a rail, and then coming off that rail, we're going to place down an iron bar, and it should overhang from the ship like that. After that's all done, that is going to wrap up everything we have there for layer number 3. Pretty simple stuff so far. Again, here's an aerial view of what it looks like from a top-down view. And with that, we'll be going ahead and moving into our next layer, which will be layer number 4. Moving into our next layer, we have layer 4. For layer 4 to start with, we're going to place down a grindstone here on top of this block, and we're going to go ahead and go forward from the grindstone with an end rod. We then want to place down a polished blackstone wall right here, and then a second wall that's going to go back from it like that. After we have that done on both sides of these walls, we're going to place down dark oak signs. So just like this. Then after we have that done, we're going to place down a polished blackstone wall, or sorry, stair. And then after that, we want to go ahead and place down a gray stained glass pane and then a gray concrete block. Now right here, kind of option-wise, if you're not on Java, I'd recommend go ahead and place down a polished blackstone stair like that instead. However, with us being on Java, we're going to go ahead and place down our gray stained glass pane, and we're going to go and disconnect this connection that's going to be going forward. So we only want this glass pane on the back here and not on that back of the stair. So again, you can use the debug stick for this. To access the debug stick, it's really simple. It's going to be using this command right here. So /give space @p Minecraft :debug _stick. This command right here, press and enter, will give you that glowing stick, and then you can just left click here to find the direction. It may take some playing around with, but you can change the directions here of the pane and where it connects up to, and until you find the right direction, you can get rid of that connection to that stair. So just kind of a nice thing there to do to help bring that all together. We're going to go ahead and place down an acacia wood pressure plate here, and then coming off the acacia wood pressure plate, we are going to be going ahead and placing down a wither skeleton skull. To the sides here, we're going to go ahead and grab some acacia wood trapdoors, place down a trapdoor to both sides, followed by an item frame, and then in those item frames, we're going to go ahead and place down snowballs for some spotlights, as well as dark oak signs on the side of the trapdoors. So just like that. Then this section here, we're going to go ahead and place down a item frame that is going to go ahead and sit on top of the fence gates. And we're also going to go ahead and place down orange stained glass paint in those item frames like that. After we have that done, we're going to go ahead and then go back to this section here. We're going to place down a nether brick wall, or nether brick fence post, a acacia wood pressure plate, and then we want to go ahead and place down a grindstone on both sides. And come off the grindstones, we're going to go ahead and make our middle turrets here, and we're going to have an end rod come off those like that. Our next section here is going to be right back here. It's going to be a redstone repeater. We're going to go ahead and separate the notches from each other like so. And we're going to go ahead and then place down a wither skeleton skull coming off the repeater going forward. And after we have that all done, we want to go ahead and place down a lever on top of these two stairs, item frames, and orange stained glass paints in those item frames like that, again, if you're on Java. And then we're going to place down a grindstone here on top of that block and an end rod facing toward the back like that to go ahead and finish that off. And once we have that all done right there, that's going to complete everything we have for layer 4. And with that, we're probably just going to be moving into our final layers and wrapping up the rest of the build. So with that, let's move on to layer number, or our last final layers here. We have layers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 that we're going to go and do. For these layers to begin with, we're going to place down a polished blackstone slab on top of this wall here. We're going to go then place down an item frame and then a black bed rotated sideways. We'll then place down a dark oak sign on all 3 sides here of the slab. If you're on bedrock, then you will not place down a sign on the front there and just have the item frame. We're going to go then place down a gray concrete block behind that, followed by an end rod to both sides, as well as a polished blackstone slab on top of that gray concrete block. We're going to go then place down a polished blackstone stair on top of this one, and then we're going to place down a dark oak sign on both sides of the stair. After that's done, we want to go ahead and then place down a nether brick wall going up, an end rod, and then an end rod to both sides of this end rod, and then another end rod, one more just going up like that. At this point in time, we're going to go and do some features here. They're going to be more Java oriented, mainly revolving around the use of the debug stick. But for this, we're going to build a space of 1, a block out to both sides here from this slab. We're going to place down a tripwire hook on the sides of those blocks. We're going to left click these till we get selected facing. Prompt pop up. We'll right click, rotate these around, and have these come off the slab. For our rangefinders there, or gun directors on top of the the conning tower. We're also going to go ahead and do the same technique just up here, and this is going to be coming off the sides of this end rod. So again, we're going to leave that block of space. We're going to place down a tripwire hook on the spaces there, and then again rotate these around to come off the end rod. And then on the very top here, we're going to go and place down a iron bar, and we can use our debug stick here also to extend the iron bar out to the sides. So just like this. Again, might take some playing around with, and you can do that up on top there. Again, an alternative here is to place down maybe 3 iron bars across. It's a little big. If you can go ahead and just kind of find something a little bit smaller, that will fit in the space, probably going to be for the better. Now after that, we're going to go ahead and then go to our funnel. And for our funnel here, we're just going to place down an air brick slab on top of that there. And then we want to go ahead and grab our end rods, and we're going to go up from this air brick fence post, 1, 2 end rods going up. And then we're going to place down an iron bar. We're going to place down an end rod to both sides of that iron bar. And then that's pretty much it for that. Now the last part of this build is really going to be just going ahead and doing our cabling. For this, pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and start off with our barrier blocks. We're going to place down a row of 3 of barrier blocks going from that center iron, or that end rod up on top there. This is going to have buttons on both sides. So just like that. Then underneath this, we're going to go ahead and place down a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should connect up to the back there. We're going to place down 3 buttons on top of those last 3, and then 3 buttons on the bottom of the first 3. Just like so. Then on the last 3 down here, we're going to go ahead and place down again 3 more barrier blocks going down. 3 basically buttons on both sides of those 3 barrier blocks. And then lastly, we're going to place down 1 more barrier block that's going to be on top of this wither skeleton skull. And this here will have a button on both sides of it as well. After you have that all done, that right there is going to wrap up what we have there for layers 5 through 9. And with that, that is going to complete my tutorial here for this destroyer. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this build and are able to put it to good use. If you do use this build, I do ask that you guys give me proper credit for it. This has been thank you from the side of the build, tweet to my channel or this video if this does appear on social media sites. As long as you guys give me proper credit for it, you're free to use it for projects you guys are working on. Again, the big special thanks to Patreon supporter Derek Frost Westbrook for making this tutorial possible. And as always, feel free to check my Patreon page. Link is always in my video descriptions. With that though, thank you guys again so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Jagdtiger 204, and I will see you guys next time.